Hello, everyone, and welcome back to day 3 of the webinar of actual web series. Get free and become wealthy. Why changing your mindset is crucial to accessing abundance in your life. My name is Cynthia Maria, and today we are meeting with the beautiful and intelligent Omaria Tucker, also known as the Millennial Soul Scribe. Hi, Omaria.
Hi, I'm waving with two hands again. I have my network on one camera, and I got Cynthia on the other one. So hey, everybody.
So one thing we were talking about before we broke apart and we took a break, was the importance of fortifying the self and how you needed to first build wealth internally in order for it to manifest outwards, and that you understood really deeply and believed and have really strong faith that if it's not tangible, you can't see it, and if you can't, you can't actually hold it in your hand, that it's still there for you, and that it's still able for you to get it. Sorry, I'm listening to the piece, like the replay of me speaking to it, and I'm like,
maybe I need to turn it down some.
Just a little bit might be good. Or when I speak, you mute yourself.
Okay.
That might be good. So that's where there's no weird feedback. But one thing I want to talk a little bit more, I want to continue on that thread because it was really important, because you, in the beginning of our interview, you spoke about how the poverty consciousness can be distilled into the fact that it's like it's an inner poverty of you lacking the self, and that the self is no longer there, and because it was never really built upon, that everything that you built around that would crumble at some point, and which is what happened to you. And so one thing that I really wanted to ask you was, in your terms and in your perspective, what is it that prevents people from living their full potential?
Ooh, what is it that prevents people from living their full potential? That is a great question. For me, and through my experience, the number one that prevents people from living up to their full potential is just not tapping into the art of being, not being who they are, and all their quirkiness and all their weirdness, whatever's going on in their brain and their head, not accepting who I am and loving who I am and being confident in who I am and knowing that who I am is enough. That is the number one thing in my head that says you will never be able to manifest the greatness, that supreme destiny that you want so bad. You'll never be able to do it if you're not able to find that divine God in me.
Dang. That's what I would say to that, because I think a lot of people are in that place, right, where they feel like, could you mute yourself a little bit so I could focus a little bit? So for some people, like you said, like there isn't a strong enough sense of the self, and because people aren't willing to be, right? People are in a constant state of acting, right? And we are in Leo season, right? And Leo is the actor of the zodiac, and it's sister sign Aquarius, which is what the lunar eclipse that we're going to be experiencing on the 7th. Aquarians also put on an act as well. And it's just they act on behalf of humanity, and Leo acts on behalf of the self. And so I really want to, explore a little bit in astrological terms, like what is the energy right now that people are being thrusted into? Because I know there are a lot of people around me who are finally figuring out who they even are. They're starting to actually acknowledge what are the things that touch their own hearts. And then they want to figure out how to apply that to the rest of the world so they don't just seem like really selfish, right? And so I really want to spend a little bit of time talking more about that, and what can we expect, especially on the 7th in this lunar eclipse that's happening at 15 degrees Aquarius.
All right, and y'all forgive me if I harp on this, but it's because it's so important. With Aquarians, the key word is knowing, knowledge. They're all in their head. And when we get in our head too much, we tend to overthink things. We think that nobody maybe likes us, nobody gets us. And this time right now is for people to just heal whatever that Achilles heel that they have with that Aquarian energy. And also look for wherever Aquarius is in your chart, because that's where you'll know where you want to work during this time. But we'll look at the South Node in Aquarius with this, right? Since we're talking about the moon. I really want people to focus on being okay with who they are. Like I said, I'm going to harp on it because that's the energy that we're dealing with right now. You have to be okay with who you are. And let's say, for instance, you have a group of friends, but you're always the one standing in the corner and not doing anything. Everybody else is making decisions, but you're the one that's just sitting back in the cut trying to figure out, okay, what's going to happen? No. You have all of that knowledge and that know-how for a reason. So what you need to do is tap into the Leo energy and broadcast yourself. And that's a way that people can heal and use this energy, is just kind of get out of your head so much and just speak your truth. Another thing is for you to, because I know I have a lot of people that, and we have a lot of people, especially when we're talking about wealth mindset and tapping into that currency energy and money flow, a lot of people, they either want to, like I know you know when you speak to your clients, they either want to start a business, they're worried about their finances and prosperity. Where is my money? So this is the thing. You cannot wait on other people to give you permission to take action. If it's something that you want to do, use this Leo energy to just do it. You don't have to know everything. I am not a rocket scientist. I promise you that. You do not have to know everything to get started. The universe, and this is my favorite quote by Paulo Coelho in The Alchemist, once you make that decision that you want to do something, the universe has no choice but to push you along. And we touched on this earlier in the first part of the interview. And I was like, ooh, she's saying it, because that is it. Once you make that decision to say, I want to do this, I don't care no more, it don't matter what other people think, the universe is like, hey, I was waiting on you to say that. Let's go. How do y'all think I'm on this interview right now? I am an introvert, but I'm on an interview with somebody sharing my story. Come on, let's do it.
Oh my God. Yeah. You know, like even me creating this web series, you know, like oh my God, if we want to get like into introversions, like my MBTI, I'm an INFJ. So, you know, I am the introverty of most introverties, and I'm really judgy, and I feel, and so if I'm all like, this don't feel right, and I'm gonna judge it on face value, I'm gonna just book it, and I'm gonna just leave and go to my room and chill, you know. And like I've been that person for the majority of my life, just being like, all right, people, like you do things around me, and I'm fine, whatever. And as a Libra, right, and I have quadruple Libra, right, like I'm really good with allowing people to just kind of make decisions for me. That's like my Achilles heel, is making a decision, like actually. And I think for a lot of people, that is a really big issue. Like people, especially air signs, right? It's really difficult to make a decision because you have so much mental chatter. And then Virgos are included in this too because of, you know, their Mercury rule. You know, it's really difficult sometimes to make a decision. We could say that about every single sign. You know, you have Capricorns, you have Saturn being like, you're not good enough. So like Capricorns are like, oh, I guess this is not the thing I should follow. I'm gonna go do something else. You know, with Pisces, they're like, oh, I feel everything. It's so deep. How can I possibly choose when I want to be a part of it all, right? Aries, I feel like Aries have a little bit more like of a, they kind of don't make decisions. They kind of like recognize what happened after the fact. and they're like, oh, maybe I should not have done that, but it's already done, whatever. And then, you know, and Taurans, you know, it's really difficult for them to change their minds, right? And so there can be a lot of difficulty with taking upon a new mindset, especially when we're talking about money, which is really interesting because I feel like Taurans have a really beautiful way of being able to manifest into reality, but because like they kind of block the Venus, like they block the air part of Venus and they just stay in the watery emotional part of Venus. Like Taurans can be really emotional, especially with the moon being exalted there. They can focus too much on things that ebb and flow as opposed to the things that are actually solid in their life and just making a sound decision. We talked about Geminis being an air sign. They're flittery. It's really difficult. Maybe they'll change their mind, but tomorrow they're like, I'm someone different. I don't even know who that was making that decision. That wasn't me. Then you got like Leos, right? Like we were talking about how Leos, they act, you know, and sometimes people say Leos play too much, but like that's kind of Leo's superpower. And that's kind of like the superpower that we're wanting to tap into is like you kind of have to play around. If you have a really difficult time making decisions, sometimes dabbling into different things helps you to be like, okay, that really wasn't my thing. Kind of like an Aries, like, oh, I didn't know until after the fact. But you kind of have to thrust yourself into something at all, right? Like, because, you know, like I'll continue going through some more of the signs. You know, we talked about Virgo a little bit. We talked about Libras, you know, being very indecisive. Scorpios, you know, they think that everyone's judging them for something, right, that isn't really actually happening. And they analyze and pick up a bunch of little signs that like only they can see, but like they're signs that weren't even left. They're just kind of filling in the blanks. Right, it happens. I have Venus in Scorpio, so oh my God, and Pluto in Scorpio, so I understand. I be thinking things are there that really, really, really are not there. And Sagittarius is, you know, they're very, you know, like because their trajectory of their own mindset is just they follow whatever it is that they chose the first time, their own inner truth. If your truth, the mindset you're trying to impose on them isn't the truth that they already believe in, they're just disregard it and just continue running the other direction. You know, and so that's, and like I have a 9th house stellium, so I also understand that. My energy, I love my energies. But, you know, like going back a little bit into mindset, you know, work in the realm of astrology, because we're speaking together now as astrologers, you know, I personally have Aquarius in the 2nd house and I have Saturn there retrograde. And this lunar eclipse will be hitting me as my Saturn is in 12 degrees Aquarius. And so I really, really understand what it's like to have to be able to create something of value, because Saturn will eliminate, you know, anything that is not of value for you. And because the 2nd house, if for other people who are listening, both on my end and on Omaria's end, you know, the 2nd house rules how you make money, but it also rules your personal values and your self-esteem. And so that's when we talk about why it's so important for you to develop a sense of self, is because you, like, honest to God, cannot make money unless you really know who you are, because the 2nd house is whatever is bankable about your life. And if you don't know you, there's nothing for you to bank on. The universe can't bank on anything for you. And once you get to a place, like especially around your Saturn return, especially after, you know, like, you know, Saturn makes, you know, it probably has transited a couple of your personal planets, you know, you get to a point where like the things that were really important to you, you thought were really important to you, are gone. And now you're getting prepared to lose more stuff and clear more stuff out of the way so that you can really distill the things that truly matter to you. And if you take a lot of time, you know, working up to your Saturn return, like I haven't had one yet, I'm approaching in like 2 years, you know, if I, you know, like you know, even though you can work as much as you think you will towards Saturn, there's still going to be stuff Saturn's like, oh, you thought that you really wanted this in your life, but JK, you actually didn't. That's actually really something that you don't want. And you're like, shit, I thought I had it on point. And this is what we're talking about being too much in the mental. Sometimes we think we have it super figured out, and we do not allow the magic of the universe to fill it in. And our jobs are to create structures and containers for the universe to fill its magic within. And when we don't create a structure, like that's why astrology is important, because it helps you create like a structure. But you know that like you can't predict what the exact chance occurrence is. that's a caveat because you can with certain types of astrologies, in certain types of house systems, this is entirely possible. But for the type of astrology I do, I actually can't. I can give you like a round estimate of like what could happen and like the type of energy signature that you're looking for, and how to prepare yourself to allow that to happen. So as we're talking about this axis of Leo and Aquarius, it's really important to, if you can't make a decision and you're too much in your mind, act some stuff out. Like, go ahead and do the things that you wanted to do when you were a child, right? Because Leo rules the 5th house, which is the house of children. And it's also the house of art. It's like the house of falling in love. Not relationships, because that's the 7th house. It's like actually falling in love. And it's the things that like make your heart swell. So it would be like, the things that when you were a little kid that like really, really you wanted to do, but maybe your parents were like, that's crazy. You're crazy. That's not there's no real world application for that. And so you kind of tucked it away, right? And we spoke a little bit earlier about how, something that I believe that prevents people from living their full potential is that they live in their parents' or their relatives' or their culture's ideas of who they should be. What this is Aquarius. Aquarius rules all of those things, like the culture's idea of who you should be, as opposed to who you actually are. And when you cannot like distill your sense of self, you can't build self-esteem out of that. And when you don't have self-esteem to build, like you don't feel worthy, and the universe is not, like the universe is reflecting. It's a reflective property. Like whatever it is that you're thinking about or you're sending to it, it's just going to mirror it back to you. And so like if you're in a place of like, you're acting out like, oh yes, I'm really, like I'm doing really good. Like here I am in my like 9 to 5 and like everything is working out really well. And like, oh, I think I'm doing really good, but like you're like drinking at home or you're smoking away things, or you're having like obsessive sex, or you're doing a bunch of different things to cope, your different your different addictions to cope with what it is that's happening. Like like it can be really, really difficult to actually like access what it is that you need, and the universe is going to be like, hey, I see that you think that you're unworthy. I see that, I hear that you're saying that this isn't working out. So here's more things that don't work out. Here's more things to make you feel unworthy for. Here are more things to do that. But once you make the decision, the clear-cut decision to be like, hey, actually I am worthy. Or hey, actually like I want to be an astrologer instead of a doctor. Or I want to be an artist instead of a chemist. Like these are me talking here. If once I decided to come up and be like, actually, the thing I decided when I was a child was that I'm going to be an artist. Once I came back to that, everything opened up for me, right?
Yeah.
So, I really encourage people to work with this energy right now, because that's what it's being asked of you to do. Omaria, do you have any more comments in relation to this axis?
Yes, I wanted to share that. Let me tell you how my chart plays out. My Aquarius, bless her soul.
I'm all eating strawberries. Laughing in silence.
My Aquarius, I have Leo in my 10th house. So, that's all about my career and my public persona and what I'm going to be doing, right? And so in my 5th house is where I have Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, my 4th house is where I have Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. My number's not working right now.
No, it is. Because like, where's your midheaven? Is your midheaven more in the 9th, or is it like?
It is.
So what sign is it?
Yeah, but all of it is all about the creative aspect for me and connecting to my inner child. So a lot of people, if they follow me, they may see me say, I got Miss Elaine, because that's what people called me as a little girl, Miss Elaine, my middle name. And the Miss is because I was like that person that took care of everything, talked so much, and all that kind of stuff. So my family even called me Missy. lane. What kind of mess is that?
Man.
But with that creativity and that aspect and connecting to the inner child, sometimes I'll go out and buy a snow cone with my daughters and stuff like that, because I have to bring myself, that's the way that I have to use it to connect to my inner child, to help me to create and be more creative in my life. For those that missed it, I kind of blocked my own childhood from myself as a youth, because I always heard that I was this person that was the foundation of the family, would be able to help the family do things, and just I was always this person that people could depend on. So I kind of blocked my childhood out after about the age of 7, 8. Between 7, 8, and 9, I kind of blocked the enjoyment of childhood out. So that's one of the lessons that I really have to learn when I look at my Aquarius energy and my Leo energy, because as I connect to her, I'm able to create those new avenues and new ways for me to be able to shine. So I just wanted to throw that in there, and that's it for right now.
No, I think that's wonderful because, you know, I like the 4th and 10th house is also important to me. Like I have a 10th house moon. My moon is conjunct my midheaven. We spoke about a little bit earlier, like my moon is conjunct Spica, conjunct the midheaven.
Yeah.
Taurus. It's like, because I'm an alien, guys. That's caveat over here. In my true self. You know, something that, you know, happens when we start to come into our own is, because we're still speaking about money and building wealth, is you start to have opportunities that come up for you. And sometimes there can be a lot of fear in, you know, stepping up to the plate and stepping into opportunities that the universe has created for you. And sometimes, you know, this is like where a lot of the mindset stuff can come back for you. A lot of the fear thoughts, a lot of the lack thoughts, a lot of the unworthiness can start to reappear. Like you're like, okay, I made a decision and here's something in front of me, but holy shit, like I'm still afraid, right? And so one thing I wanted to ask you in particular, Omaria, was how are you currently addressing your emotional fears and challenges around being seen, being challenged and critiqued, and or being loved and admired in a big way?
Ooh. How am I now addressing these challenges? Well, for me, it is either you do it or you don't. It's because, and I had to get to this point because with my Leo in my 10th house, I gotta shine, right? But I can't shine hiding behind a rock. And I can't do the things that I say I want to do if when opportunity presents itself, I'm not there raising my hand like, hey, pick me. So I like to call it being a strategic introvert and a strategic extrovert. So I've asked the universe or God or higher source or spirit or ancestors, whoever you want to call upon, guys, I've asked this energy to bring me these things for myself. So when these things come, I can't hide. And if I do get into that fear mode or that, oh my goodness, it's here, I got to do this interview, the main thing that I do is I know divine world prayers, like the Kabbalah's prayer, the Anabakoa. And like this evening when we were trying to do our first video, we had some sound issues, right? So I started going in Anabakoa, get you like you mean constitute to the rocket over not on Casabani to be run like you want to show you could have a shaman bark and tana mark a mages you could take it to make out like a single hospital to can the hell of a take a key get a lump combination break you should take that Shabatu Bell Shmazakat media talamo Shem Kabamoko to Leon by it. And what people don't understand is when you use prayers, when you use mantras, no matter what religious background, no matter what spiritual path that you're on, no matter what culture you're on, they're all sacred sounds and words that you are speaking to your soul. You're speaking these to yourself to make a change in that subconscious mind, to give you that avenue of, if you need confidence in this moment, if I need obstacles to be removed, I'm going to call on Lord Ganesha and say, Gam Ganapatiye Namaha. If I'm working on something and I feel like, oh my goodness, it's just not going to go through, I need to talk to my higher self right now, I'm going to say, Ekankar Satguru, Ekankar Sata Guru Prasad, which is trying to get those higher thoughts. So my tool is talking to myself, and I literally mean talking to myself. And if I can't find a mantra in that moment or a prayer in that moment, I'm in the mirror saying, hey, let's get it. Let's go. It's time to do this thing, because I asked for it, and I know I asked for it. So now it's just, what does Nike say? Just do it. Just do it. And it's like that fear factor. I like to tell people that every day of your life that you wake up, you don't know what's going to happen. You just don't know what's going to happen. So what are you afraid of? When at least you have a heads up that says, hey, you're going to be on an interview, or at least you got a heads up and say, hey, tomorrow I'm going to call you to talk to you about your services. At least you got a heads up. When you wake up every morning, you don't necessarily have that heads up. So what are you afraid of? Just do it. Just go live your life and do it.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I really feel like, yeah, that's definitely a big way to, like address these challenges, because, I'm going to go here. I'm going to say that like one of my like diagnoses that I had before when I had my spiritual emergency, when my crown chakra just blew up even further. And I started, because I've always been clairaudient. I've always heard voices. I've always seen energy. I'm an animist. So like everything to me, it has movement and energy, rocks, tables, everything, like everything's constantly in motion. But I didn't have a way to talk about this except for in the realm of psychology, right? And in psychology, they're like, you hallucinating. And in the realm of, like psychiatry, this is a medical condition. This is a problem. This is something that needs treatment. But when you throw medications on it, and like I was someone who has been taking medications forcibly, not even by my own, it was involuntarily since I was 12. And, when one of the things that they told, that they say, in psychiatry and in psychology, it's like talking to yourself is a sign of being crazy, right? There are so many people walking around being like, oh, I can't talk to myself, or like, you crazy for talking to yourself, because that's a sign of mental illness, right? But you kind of have to ask why, right? Because like we have just been talking about, like literally talking to just myself, like in the mirror, in my bedroom. Like I'm extremely introverted. I spend most of my time alone because that's how I prefer it. It also helps me to get my own messages and like to, because I hear voices, and I learned that I was hearing other people's thought processes and their own thoughts, because like thought forms are their own living entity. That's why the universe can reflect them back to you. And I was hearing these things like all around. I was on campus just hearing people's stuff, and it was driving me crazy. And like I felt I was literally insane. I went into full-blown psychosis because I didn't have a handle on it. And my actual diagnosis came out to be like schizoaffective disorder, bipolar type. You're like, what? And for many people receiving a diagnosis like that, they push spirituality away. And unfortunately, like when you try to get support in support groups or different things like that, if you try to talk about how like alternative ways of healing, holistic treatments, in a lot of these places you get banned because you're not fulfilling or following the model of the psychiatric model. This is an issue that needs treatment. There's no such thing. You can't just put mantras on it and it'll go away. But You can, right? Because it's when we are tapping into sacred sound, when we're tapping into the divine self, right? You have to reach it at a very base level. And for most people, sound, and for those who are hard of hearing or deaf, vibrations, right? Because they may not be able to hear the frequency, but the actual vibration of something moving is really helpful for them. And it's something that helps them navigate, right? And vibration, the universe works on vibration. And so it's really important, when you ask for something huge, you have to come with a big ass vibration to meet it. Like, you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to be the tiny mouse asking for this huge lion thing. No, you have to show up as a lion. We were speaking about lions earlier. This is that Leo energy. Like, it's so important that when you ask for something, to receive it. And this is the issue. This is what we were talking about with Omaria earlier. One of her core issues, and mine too, and I think for many people, especially women identifying individuals and other people who identify as being highly feminine, or just very empathic or very nurturing, it's very difficult for them to receive. And so when even the universe comes to you with gifts, you're just like, I'm sorry, universe, I don't want this. And the universe is like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go over there and I'm just not going to give you any more gifts. And then you start to question why you're not getting any more signs. You start to question why you're no longer seeing the things you used to. You start being like, the numerology I used to get is no longer appearing, or like all these fear stuff is coming back. I thought I cleared all of this. The issue is it came to you, but you just bat that shit aside. Like, that's it. And so one of the things that I like the idea of being a strategic introvert, because when you can't plan the 24 whole hours every day. You could, but as you know, the universe is going to be like, you don't need all those things there. Here you go. Let's just throw you some random. And you're like, oh no. And then you resist it, right? You resist it and you fight it so hard. And you just really, really want it to work. But when you're fighting against something that's obviously not working, one of the things you have to do is breathe into it. And you have to accept it and just be like, okay, I accept that this is not working. Okay, I am at peace that this is not working. And maybe driving me crazy, but peace isn't an absence of craziness or an absence of chaos. Peace is an inner, it's an inner vibration. It's coming to a sense of self, and you can access peace and tune into peace. That's what we're talking about, playing sounds and choosing your own primordial sound for the day. Because sometimes shit goes crazy, but you're like, hold on, I know that frequency of peace particular to me. Because what is peaceful for somebody else may be batshit crazy to you. And what may be batshit crazy to them may be the most peaceful thing to you. And so for that, I wanted to ask another question. One of the questions that I really wanted to ask was, have you developed a clear model for changing, and to change the self, to up-level the self, to grow into the self? And is there a way that is is that a well-articulated point that you could make to people and take them step by step to their success, and then to actual manifestation, and then to actual tangible physical results? And if so, can you explain a little bit about that process? I know you're also a coach, and part of your coaching business is using the realm of astrology to help plan for things. So could you give a little bit more information about what you do to help people move through this so that they can have money, tangible money? Because one thing to be I'm wealthy inside, but it's another to be I want $5,000, and then nothing in the realm of $5,000 lands in your lap, right?
Exactly, right? So I have the Pi Life Self-Empowerment Academy. Pi Life is your God life, right? When you look at the pi, 3.14132, all that is that special God number. And so I have the Pi Life Self-Empowerment Academy. And what we do is, from an astrological perspective, we look at the pi. We look at that pi that is your natal chart. And I take people from house to house to house. And we go through all 12 houses. And we look at, okay, when you were born, you set it up this way. But how are you actually living it? How can we cope? How can we either match them together or heal you from any trauma and transmute those energies into a way that we can push you forward into creating the life that you desire? I work on my basic thing. The first thing we do, the first week that I talk to a client is, before we even look at a chart, is we work on clearing all that emotional baggage, all of those things, that those doubts and those criticisms and those belief issues that you have. We work on cleaning house. And if it's from cleaning your physical house, we clean the physical house up. So I might tell you, go in that room and open that closet door. Do you have a whole bunch of shit? Excuse me. Do you have a whole bunch of stuff in the closet? So you need to clean the closet out.
You can see the adults.
And if I find that once people clean out the physical, it helps them to start cleaning out that internal as well, because it becomes that practice of getting rid of the old so you can allow the new to come in. And that's just one of the steps that I take when I'm leading my clients through the process of developing and living their pie life. Now, once we go through the chart, I get into my favorite part, the thing that I, as a sun sign in Virgo, love. We start planning, and we start looking at those transiting energies, and we start planning. Okay, you said you want this, so let's see where Jupiter is that can expand your vision. You know, let's see where Saturn is, where we need to cultivate and get you a structured plan together on how you can tap into these energies and move yourself forward. Because, you know, Saturn gets a bad rap. Saturn gets a bad rap, but Saturn is that real money planet. Because once you tap into Saturn and clean up all that energies and get yourself straight on a line, because Saturn's not going to let you just go out there and do any old thing. No ma'am, no sir. You can't just do any old thing. You got to put the stuff together. So I really love working with Saturn. And I was born on a Saturday. No. So it's just natural that I love Saturn. Mm-hmm. But we're going to look at these specific planetary energies and how you personally, based on your own personal chart, nobody else's chart, nobody else's information, and that's how we create your pie life.
Oh my Lord, I love that. I love that it's so, oh my God, I'm just like, my brain is like pew, 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 because I have so many ideas that I can't like articulate all of them, because number one, I have so much appreciation for you using pi as part of your thing, because when I saw your business name, I was like, oh, she gonna start speaking about some golden ratios and some God numbers, and I knew it, and it happened. And then two, when I was, because I'm also a coach. I call myself a spiritual integration coach. And, you know, when I was getting my certificate, because I'm certified in coaching, a lot of us have to be certified in life coaching because we care about all of you, and we don't want to make sure that we're not fucking your mind up by bringing things that like aren't tested or true, or like are based out of any sort of like real teachings. Like one of the things that came up in my life coaching certification was they gave us like a house system, right? But they didn't call it a house system. They were like, I want you to create like 12 areas of your life. And I was like, oh, this is astrology. You're trying to hide this astrology and this life coaching. I was like, oh my God. And you have to like, they help you construct your own, right? Where they're like, you choose like whatever. And like, I'm supposed to help guide people through this. And I was looking at this and I'm like, I already do this as an astrologer. I was like, oh my God, like this is covert astrology. And, you know, being able to utilize transits, you know, and like is really helpful. Something that I was talking about with Priestess Sekhmet in my first interview, and also the Hood Mystic in my second one, was something that I do in my own practice is transmuting trauma into profit. And that's like the core basis of alchemy, of taking something, you know, taking the Saturn lead, right, and turning it into gold. is you're taking something that's everyday, something that happens to you that maybe you're holding on since like 1992, something you're holding on since like 81, whatever, right? That you're holding on from like ancient times, and you're still mad about it today. Like, we got to clear that. Something like there's so many things that can be done to clear that, whether it's like, I have my own personal ways of helping people clear things, but especially like, I like using people's bodies and helping them like exercise or breathe it or move it out. Like, in a lot of my coaching, we go for walks and we're in the wilderness and we're like under trees or we're next to running water, because the elements are really important for me. And I have a bunch of crystals next to me, but crystals too are really important. And like they're like, this seems a little weird. I'm like, well, if you believe in it, you can have this. And I'll just give somebody a crystal. So I'm like, this is something that can help transmute that in a gentle way that's not gonna like blow your brain. Maybe you don't want to let go in epic tears. So I'm like, here's a rose quartz to help you move through this more gently in a slower pace. But you know, I really, really admire that, because I find that sometimes when, you know, for a lot of people, they're like, what does an astrologer do? Like, what is a consultation even like? Like, how does this even look like? I really appreciate you taking us step by step, especially for those who want to work with you in the future. You know how Omaria functions. She will take you house by house, you know, and then she will go through your transits, and then you guys will plan something amazing out of that, you know. And, you know, like we spoke about earlier, we are just creating a framework, you know, and we're like, okay, on this day, like Jupiter is going to ingress into Scorpio, right? Because, you know, like, oh my God. So like on this day, this is something that you can, the thing that you wanted could start to happen, and you can start looking for opportunities in this realm of your life that it can show up in. And I too, like, I love like taking people house by house, and I love showing people like, one of the things that I do personally is I love to look at the energy that is the most lacking in somebody's chart. And sometimes like you have like a special, like you're lacking a modality and you're lacking an element, and so I'll find that sign. So for me, like I have very little fire, like very, very, very little fire, and I am lacking a lot of fixed energy. So a fixed fire energy is Leo, hey. And so I have to cultivate a lot of Leo energy. I have a planet in Leo. I have Chiron there. And Chiron is opposing Saturn and squaring Pluto. They're all a part of like a lovely T-square. And yay. But this is why, you know, like turning trauma into pain is so important for me, and bringing this out into the collective. This happens in my 8th, my 2nd, and my 11th house. So, right? And so like for me, being able to make it tangible, taking something like the 8th house, like your pain, your death, your dying process, like in astrology, like I think for a lot of people, there's a huge fear of death. And like I'm in training to become a death doula, so I understand like what it's like to help people through grief and bereavement. But in astrology, like that's the 8th house. There's still 4 more houses after that. So it's like after you die, after the ego goes through a dying process, there is more for you out there. And when we speak about like life crumbling around you, and like when we spoke about Omaria's, you know, losing her job, like, you know, falling into like financial debt, not being sure if she's like her house being, like she was in a foreclosure situation, you know, like all these things that she built upon her ego, right, crumbled. But she had now to distill her truth, 9th house, to help her create a reputation career out of it, 10th house, to bring it to the people and like, you know, use her hopes, dreams, and aspirations, right, and teach more people about that, 11th house, and to really let go and let God, the 12th house, right? She had to do that. That's what happens after you die. You go through an ego death process. And that's why, you know, if you have challenges currently working with an astrologer, working with a hypnotherapist, working with a tarot reader, working with somebody who is well versed in divination systems, maybe you know, like for different types of like African traditional religions, you know, for even Catholicism, you know, even Christianity, you can work with, especially like Doreen Virtue cards, right? And I know Omaria, Doreen Virtue is one of your spiritual teachers, and I know that you're able to work with people in using angel cards and oracle decks. And like you are somebody who, depending, me too, like my like business like logo tagline is like personal cosmology and spiritual integration. Like both of us, because we're super well versed in different forms of religion, spiritual systems, and divinations, that we will work with you for your own personal cosmology and how you personally see the world, and bring those tools specifically to you. And we're not going to like throw something new on you that you're not comfortable with. Like, no, we'll work specifically with what is natural to you and what you're comfortable with. And there are a bunch of tools to achieve that. And so, you know, like, one of the things I want to ask further, you know, speaking about like angels and like having faith and letting go and let God, I wanted to know if you have a particular spiritual practice that helps you to maintain balance in your life.
Ooh, do I have a particular spiritual practice that helps me to maintain balance in my life? Yes, I do. My spiritual practice that helps me to maintain balance in life is my living altar. An altar is, for somebody who's not familiar with it, like let's say you go to church and you know the preacher stands up on the altar and speaks to people. If you're in a Catholic church, you may see the candles. I can't remember what they call it when they light them, like the novena candles that they light in the Catholic church, where I have my own personal one at home. And that is my sacred space. When you look at people that do yoga and new age types of things, they have like their yoga mat in that room and stuff like that. But I have a personal altar that I use, and I believe in the various energies from nature, which some people label them as gods and goddesses, and the energies that they represent. So those specific energies that I work with, I have them on my altar. I also have, so like, let's say I brought up Ganesha earlier, for obstacle removals. So I have a statue of Ganesha in my sacred space because when I'm going through that fear and the stuff in my head, I look at the energy of Ganesha and I draw down that energy within myself. I also pay reverence to my ancestors. Those in my bloodline who have come before me, that's on my altar. That is my temple. My body is my temple, and I also have the physical living altar that I can go to as a conduit between me and the spirit world, universe, God, and it's just where I can clear my head, or as the person I am, I think, I can chant my way through my thoughts to get that divine message that I need in that moment to keep myself going. So that's that spiritual tool for me. I have jewelry, I have books, I have everything, but the main thing that I use as a spiritual tool to help me is my altar.
Wow, that's great. I really appreciate that. Can you speak a little bit about like how to build an altar? Like, let's say if someone has never created one on their own, like how can they intuitively sense like what to put on an altar, and like how to tap into their own just inner knowing of how to create that?
Okay, so let's take it back so people don't get afraid of what I'm talking about, right? So take it back to years ago when you were at your grandmother's house and she had this wall that she had great grandmama on, she had auntie on, everybody that has passed away or transitioned. Grandma had that wall that she had those people on, or maybe it was that buffet that she doesn't use anymore, but she had all the family members' pictures on it. I want you to picture that in your head. That is like an altar. So if you want to create an altar, it can be as simple or as exuberant that you want it to be. Some people, they are more connected to their ancestors, so they'll put relatives that have transitioned off of earth. I'll put it that way, because I don't like to say death, but they'll put those relatives on that as a connection to still be able to communicate with their family members. And for some people that They like nature, like Cosmic Memoranda says she uses crystals. Some people will get crystals and put it on their altar. Also, if you work with the elements, you may want to have a glass of water or a cup of dirt, or you may want to have a candle on it. An altar can be as simple or as magnificent as you want it to be. It's you. All an altar is a divine reflection of who you are and what you are creating or being in this world. When I work with my clients, and some of them are like, you know, Omaria, I haven't set up an altar yet because I see everybody else's altar and they have it all good with all their statues and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I want you to go to that side table by your couch. If you don't have a picture of an ancestor, I want you to get a piece of paper and write down whoever's name that you know and write on a piece of paper. Then what I want you to do is I want you to get a cup of water and I want you to sit it on that table and say, this is water, it's for you. Then what I want you to do is get a candle, and it can be scented if you want it to be scented. It really doesn't matter. But get you a candle, light the candle, and put it on the altar. And whenever you have fear in your head, or whenever you feel like you need to talk to somebody and you can't talk to anybody, I want you to go and sit on the couch and sit by that altar, and I want you to talk to your ancestors and let them know what's going on with you. And that is the most simple altar that you can do. But please remember that it is all about you. We have people that teach you how to build altars and how to do this and how to do that, and this is wrong. And especially if you are, and this is no shade or anything, because I understand the religious implications for African traditional religions like Buddha and Ifa Yoruba tradition. However, if you're not initiated into that, in that tradition, then you do it for you. Now, you may have a rule or a regulation for them, but what it is still a communication, a portal. It's just whatever you need it to be for yourself to help you connect with the God within and to your ancestors and to the universe in order to draw down the energy to make you a more empowered being.
I love that. That's such a great answer. And like something you said that I thought was really important to pick up on and just to kind of like reiterate is like an altar is a place for you to speak your fears and your troubles to. Especially if you're in relation to your ancestors. And we spoke a little bit about the fear a lot of people have about looking crazy just talking to themselves. Mm-hmm. So if you don't want to just sit and talk to yourself, if that feels really weird to you, and if you're someone who needs to like a physical representation of something or someone to talk and look at, you know, talk to your grandpa, talk to your grandma, talk to your, you know, your aunt who has transitioned, talk to, you know, like your sibling who has passed, like somebody, your best friend, a relative, a celebrity, you know, mm-hmm. really important to you. You know, like in Latin traditions, you know, we have Dia de los Muertos.
Yes.
And, you know, being able to create an altar for those who have passed, you know, we understand that our antepasados, or our ancestors, you know, include those who, you know, are within like our ethnic backgrounds, but also who are within our own cultures. So like if you're someone, like say if you're a musician, and say Prince was somebody who really spoke to you, right? Put Prince on your altars. Talk to Prince. You really like Michael Jackson. Put Michael Jackson on your altar. You really liked, you know, Whitney Houston. Put Whitney on your altar. You know, like if you really like, you know, the man who had just passed, you know, of Lincoln Park, Chester, you know, he was someone who was really important for a lot of people, especially my generation, right? Because like his music really helped a lot of us through a lot of our tension and our pain and our trauma. Speak to Chester. You know, there are these energies out there now that are here to assist you and to help you live the best you so that you can, you know, like access your infinite abundance. And, you know, like we talk about infinite abundance in particular about, you know, financial abundance. But, you know, what we found out, especially with talking with Omaria, is sometimes you can't have the financial abundance until you create the self-esteem and the self-love and the connection to self, to the God self first. And for those of you who aren't there yet of like acknowledging the God self, what you're really trying to do is to really speak to your inner spirit, to the part of you that is touched when you're in religion, or if you're an atheist, you are connecting to elements. You are connecting to these planets that move around. We are connecting to, you know, like actual people who have passed, you know, and you had a relationship with them. And the energy of that relationship is not, it doesn't disappear because you were one of the people who co-created that. So that energy of what it was still exists with you. So you can tap into that. And like, you know, if it's really difficult for you to begin thinking about, sorry, this is like a lip thing. If it's really difficult for you to begin to like tap into yourself, this is what we were talking about, using the Leo energy of learning to play. Go back to your kid self. You know, Omaria spoke about sometimes she needs to buy herself a snow cone, right? There's a lot of talk nowadays being like, oh, you can't eat this, you can't eat that, this is poisonous, this is GMO this. And like, there's a lot of truth, in fact, to like a lot of that. We were speaking a little bit about this with Hood Mystic, you know, about how diet is a really big deal. But for some people, diet is nothing to them, right? And for some people, especially those of us who may be sick or disabled, who are cash poor, who are the working class, you know, like we got to just eat what we can afford, right? And so go back to those childhood things that sustained you, that brought you a real sense of peace, things that brought you happiness, things that like brought you a real sense of calm, even if all the chatter around the world is like, this is crazy. This is what I was talking about earlier. Some things that may sound batshit crazy to other people may be your true inner peace. And so like, if you gotta eat the bacon when you're really stressed out, eat the BLT, eat the double cheeseburger with the bacon. Because once you start to feel better about yourself and your life, like you're going to be able to start making better decisions and to make better choices and to do things that may be harder for you to do, that you're nowhere in a place to do them now. And you can't go to step 5 if you haven't gone through 2, 3, 4. And you need to be able to get to 2 by doing the thing that's comfortable and helpful for you. And like for me, like I'm currently dealing with bronchitis. And so something that's really hard for me when I have bronchitis, because it brings back, I have chronic bronchitis, I have someone who has asthma. This comes to me like more than once a year. You know, like I need to have things that make me feel good. So like I have like a bunch of pot stickers at the house that I've been eating. I've been making some like ramens with like eggs in them all pimped out. You know, I've been eating like, you know, I've been eating strawberries here to kind of help myself out. I love strawberries. You know, like I bought myself apple juice. I haven't had apple juice in a long time. There's nothing wrong with apple juice. I just haven't had it. And part of me was like, I really need this. You know, like I bought like some markers for 99 cents. And I was like, what am I going to do with this? Color? That's it. You know, it was like, you know, sometimes like because we spend so much time rationalizing, right, working too much in the brain, that some of these real tangible, simple things that we sometimes even just forget about, or try to practice like weird spiritual bypassing that, oh, this doesn't mean anything to me, I'm gonna neglect it because I'm being told to. No, like you're not speaking true to what's true to you. Like I said, if you're somebody who needs to eat bacon, have that, feel better about it. Like don't feel guilty about the fact that you're eating something that makes you feel good enough. And like if you decide 5 years from now that, okay, I don't want to be eating bacon anymore, that's fine. But eat the thing that gets you to the next place. Like do the thing that gets you to the next place. Play the music. Listen to the you know, whatever the other people are like, that sounds like crap. Listen to it if it makes you feel good. Like literally, like the focus like we spoke about earlier is about vibration, right? And you want to be able to resonate higher. And you can't do that if you're existing in guilt and shame and anger and frustration, I mean, about like what people are telling you about things that you really want to be doing, but you are like, oh, this is, society says I can't do this, or my parents say I can't do this, or my spouse says I can't do this, my partner says I can't do this. Screw them for a second. Eat it, drink it, do whatever, you know, like do it because it will literally fill yourself up. And the whole goal is to fill yourself up first to then do the next thing. That's all funny though, right? The bacon. But I feel like because it's getting spiritual over here with people not eating, or not taking care of their physical temple because of what society is telling them they should be doing instead. That is a huge no-no. It's a huge no-no. Like, you're doing a huge disservice just to you, you know? And like part of like, you know, being gracious and gratitude is to the self, is to give yourself the things that it asks for. That's as simple as that, you know. And so I'm talking about gratitude a little bit here, and I wanted to, you know, ask you, Omaria, you know, how important is it to give thanks in your life, and how do you practice this? Can you talk to us a little bit about how to develop a practice of giving thanks and showing gratitude?
Yeah, and giving thanks is like that second. First, you need to know who you are, or you know what? They could be interchangeable of number one and number two. But when we're thinking about wealth and growing and receiving things, giving thanks is that tool that we always have to incorporate. Gratitude is the key. It's the key when you say you want something else, but you're not satisfied with what you have here now. So always give thanks for what you have, what you had, and what you want. The simplest thing that you can do is when you wake up in the morning, say thank you, thank you, thank you. One of the practices that I go over with my clients is, okay, so what we're going to do is all day, you're going to tap into the energy of gratitude. And what that means is when you walk out the door and you see the sun, hey sun, thank you for shining on me today. When you walk on the grass, hey grass, you look beautiful. Thank you for being there for me to walk on. Say thank you to the trees for the shade that they're providing. And as you cultivate that energy of saying thank you, you're telling the energies that, hey, I am open to receiving. I'm appreciative and I'm grateful for all that I have, all that I see, all that I go through. So bring me more of the things that I'm appreciative for. And even the not so good things, you can give thanks for those too, because especially when you learn the lesson. Make sure you learn the lesson of the not so good things before you say thank you for them, because you don't want to keep bringing the not so good things back to you. But the key is learning those lessons so you can say thank you. Because once you learn the lesson, you're able to understand, okay, this is why this happened. This is what I needed to learn from it. Now I can grow and not allow that to come into my cipher again. And if it comes into my cipher again, now I know how to maneuver and get through it the next time to where it won't knock me off my square. So being able to see the 50,000 foot view is that gratitude way. Because in all things, there's something to be thankful for. You just have to find that finite reason to be thankful for. And that is the way that we can really tap into the receiving power of bring me more, bring me more. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love this. Thank you.
Yes. And, you know, for a lot of people, they may say like, well, I don't have anything to be thankful for right now because my life has gone to shit, right? So I think what you said about, you know, giving thanks to after you learn the lesson is really helpful. You know, we speak about abundance, and abundance means a lot of, it means more of, like a great number of. And so when we are asking and using abundance, right, like we want to really make sure that like we're not using those languages and those words yet until we've like really dealt with what it is that's in front of us right now. And so I think that can be a little frustrating for some people because they're like, okay, like I've been going through like 2 to 3 years of like something that's really difficult, maybe especially because Saturn and Sagittarius, right? So a lot of this, like a lot of like truths people had, like a lot of their like religions, like a lot of like a lot of their joy, right? Because Jupiter deals with joy and optimism. A lot of people for the past 2 or 3 years have been like, there hasn't been anything to be optimistic or joyful about. Just know that that ends December 21st. So around, so during this winter solstice and the summer solstice, if you're in, you know, the southern hemisphere, this time is really this time is coming to an end, right? And so that's why we're asking you now astrologically to start playing around with some stuff, start really distilling like who it is that you are, so that way you can, if you can't be thankful about anything else around you, be thankful for the things that you bring to the table. Be thankful for the things that like you like, be thankful for the fact that like you can breathe. Be thankful for the fact that like you know, like this body houses a spirit. Be thankful that you haven't transitioned yet, that you know that you still have an opportunity to figure stuff out. You still have an opportunity for the universe to bring you a miracle. You know, like be grateful for the fact that, you know, oh hi baby, like be thankful for the fact that, you know, like you are willing to learn and be open. Like if you're listening to either of us speak right now or just on our own channels, like you like really take the moment, like even right now, to just be really thankful that, okay, I made the decision that I want something new and different for my life. I'm not there yet, and I'm not sure if I can see where this will be heading, but I'm open and willing for change to come into my life. That's it. You know, and like it can be as simple as that. You know, I'm open to change. I'm grateful that I am changing my mind. I'm grateful that like I have the opportunity and the resources to watch stuff. Like I'm thankful for YouTube. Like I'm thankful for the internet. Like I'm thankful for like there's a couple things, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be like, oh, there are worse people out in the world, I must be thankful for my life. No. Find the like things that are like steady in your life now that are giving you some remnants of peace, and just give thanks to that. And like once you get into the habit of being thankful, you'll actually find out, oh hey, I have more things to be grateful for. You know, like I don't know if it's in this journal that I have in front of me, but like I will occasionally like I journal a lot. I like go through at least 2 notebooks a month because I write all the time. Like I write, sometimes I'll do like gratitude challenges, and I'll, especially when I'm feeling really bad, like just like really angry, and like I have physical disabilities and I experience like, you know, mental stuff because of like all of the voices and the things and the thought forms that I'm seeing all the time. So it can be very overwhelming. Sometimes I'm angry at spirit being like, why are you surrounding me with all this, right? So like, hold on, I can't be doing that. So I'll pull up my journal, right? And I'll be like, okay, I'll choose a numerology, right? Sometimes I'll choose a really strong number, sometimes higher or smaller. If I'm not in a good place, I'll be like 11. But if I'm in a better place, 22. If I'm in a better place, 33 or 44. If I'm really wanting to go there, 111. If I'm really wanting to go even further, 333. Woo, why don't you start getting really deep, right? Because, you know, you are utilizing the energy and the vibration of the numerology itself. That's its own portal. And then just by keeping these lists, and just by having it in something like your journal, every time you like your plan or anything, when you flip through it, you're going to see it. And you're going to be like, oh yeah, I forgot that these are things that I can be grateful for. Or I forgot that these are things. And like when I first started to, like I did the 111 one and I did the 333 one. When I first started doing the 11, like the 11 or 11, sorry, that's too many 11. That one would be crazy. I got to do that one next. But when I did the 111, I first got to 48 and I started getting like, okay, like this is I've already got a lot. But then once I got to 50, I was like, wait, there are so much more things that I'm forgetting, because I was reviewing and I was like, I can start just adding more things, and they could be like as small or as big as you want. But like once you create a list, you can always flip back to it, especially when you're in a place like a depressive episode, or you're having a manic episode, or you're experiencing psychosis, or like your pain level went from like 2 to 10 out of a scale of 10, or like you're about to have surgery, or you're about to like, you know, you're somebody in your life that just passed, right? And you're in a realm of transition. Bring out that list. And like, I really encourage you to do it after you've eaten the thing that really makes you feel good, after you've done the thing that you like, after you watch the TV show that everyone's like, don't watch that because that's crap, and you're like, whatever, I watch this because it makes me feel good. do that because it helps you sidestep your brain, right? Take that time to write that list, and so that you can go back to it and you can practice gratitude just by looking at it. Literally just by looking at it helps you to activate it. And then you can be like, okay, and it just changes you in that way. So sometimes it, you know, if you have a difficult time, you know, doing the practice that Omaria says, where every day you go out and you start just being like, thank you, sun, thank you, grass, thank you, trees. If that's too hard to do now, write a little bit. And if 33, 11 is too much, all those numbers, 3 is a magic number, 7 is a magic number, literally 1 through 9. If you can't do 10, do a single digit number. And every single one of those has a very specific and powerful vibration that you will tap into just by writing it down. And if you can, write it in cursive. And this will really help to fortify. We talked a little bit earlier about the left and the right brain, the intuitive processing and the logical processing. And it will help your brain to be like, oh yeah, this is not a crazy thing I'm doing. This actually makes sense. It actually looks really pretty in my journal. Maybe I'll turn this into a gratitude journal. You know, like your brain will start to get the idea to do something new because you took that time to do it. And so sometimes, you know, like that's the kind of the thing that will take you to the next step. And so because we're, again, talking about wealth, and I want to respect, you know, Maria's time as well as everybody who's listening, one of the last things I want to ask, aside from like asking you how people can get a hold of you and work with you further, is what are 3 things about wealth that no one really told you about that you had to develop on your own, or you had to just figure out, you know, like in the books or whatever that you saw? And can you explain what those 3 things were? And if you have more than 3, like 4 or 5, that's great too, but I think 3 is a great place to start. You're still muted, just so you know.
I was still muted on that end. My top 3, and I'm about to flip it on people, because I'm about to take it to real life situations, right? Number 1 is you don't have to rob Peter to pay Paul all the time. And what I'm talking about is that it's not okay to have to take from this bill to go pay for this bill, and then wait for your check to come in, or wait for your money to come in, so now you can pay that bill, or now you got to go to the check cashing place to get the money here and do that, and then all your money is just all the way around. Everybody is trying to cover everybody else. That's not okay. When I grew up, my grandmother used to say that I'm gonna have to rob Peter to pay Paul. No, that's not cool. And I have learned through my going through the foreclosure situation and going through the financial difficulties in my life is that once I started to make a conscious effort to take care of my financial obligations on time, every month, and pay and take care of that law of reciprocity, the give and take, the give back of that circulation of money. Once I began to do that, I started to see more money coming into me, more ideas. I started winning more free stuff, being invited to do things. The currency started to come back to me. So it's all about having that intention that you want to take care of the obligations that you need to take care of. That is my number 1 wealth tool, because how can you expect to get something from somebody if you're not taking care of your obligation to somebody else? That's a no-no. You can't get anything that way.
Yeah.
You have to have that moral compass, that internal thing where you know it ain't right, so don't do it. I know it's hard. I've been there. Trust me, I've been to the check cashing places. I have been there. And I had to really sit down and say, okay, now we saying that we want these things and we want to get our budget together and we want to do the right thing. So let's start small. Of course, some of the bills I had to let, double up. How we say we let them double up a little bit. But I started taking care of the small ones first. and started paying those on time. And once I got those small ones into a cycle of paying them on time, the big ones, I got the double up, and I would pay a third. Well, I would pay 2/3 of the double up instead of paying a half, so the lights could still stay on. I would start paying like 2/3 of it. So the next time when the next bill came, it still wasn't as much, and I could just start taking care of that mountain and bringing it down and just bring it down. So it's getting into that cycle of, I'm going to, with a conscious effort, I'm going to take care of my responsibilities, and I'm not going to call them bills because they're financial obligations. I was able to receive my lights, so I need to pay these people for these lights. I was able to get water, so I need to pay these people for this water that I'm drinking. It's not a bill. It's not something that I'm obligated to do. No, it's not something that I'm being forced to do. It's something that I know that I have to pay them back for giving me something that I was able to use. So, number one, you don't have to rob Peter to pay Paul. Just take care of Paul the first time, and you ain't even got to rob Peter, okay? Number two is, I told you I thought about this.
That's a real one, because I feel like people, that's like, I hear that my whole life. And that's real, tangible, built, like people like for financial.
This is real life-ish, you know?
Yeah. I was like, we were talking about astros and the planets. You're like, hold on, let me take this all the way back to Earth.
Let me take it back down to them so they can get it.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is, remember how I said when I was like by the time I got like 7 or 8, I had already visioned and planned my life to where I was about 25, 26 years old. And once I got to that point, that's when I figured out, that's when the stuff started happening, which is also my Saturn return time. But that's when I figured out that, hey, I don't know what I want to do now. I got a house, I got the white picket fence, I got children, I got a husband, my family taken care of, and then stuff started going downhill internally because I was not comfortable on what I wanted to do on my soul level, and I wasn't satisfied anymore being that corporate person, doing my job and doing the same thing over and over every day, right? So my second tip in wealth building is always continue to have that vision. Keep dreaming. Keep dreaming. Keep saying that you want to create something. Keep doing it till you get to be 1,000 years old. Always have something that you're striving to do next, because in that way, you're giving yourself those internal goals, that focus for you to always continue to go, because you have a goal, you have a marker that you're trying to reach, and that won't allow you to get into that place where you're just lost. And for number 3, know that you are money, you are currency, you are energy, you are prosperity, you are a house, you are a car, you are your business, you are new clothes, you are that fly hairdo, you are spa treatment, you are your trip to Africa, your trip to India, you are that international traveler. I am. That is my number 3 tip. You are. Whatever it is that you say you want, whatever it is that you say you need, whatever it is that you say you desire, claim it in the form of I am. And in that way, it gives you the way to envision it, and it gives you the gumption and that need to strive for and to create it for yourself. So that's what I have for you.
That is wonderful. Like, I also reiterate to people, we'll go backwards. Number 3, you want to really be able to claim for yourself that I am, and to understand that the things that you desire and the things that you wish and that you need and you yearn for it, they are you. Because you are the universe, you are the God self, you co-create everything, and so everything you want is a part of you. 2, we were speaking about the importance of, dang, I'm almost already forget. I'm gonna go back to number 1 because it's gonna help me get number 2 back. So, oh, it's the vision. Thank you. That was a good cue. So, yeah. So like like keeping a vision, especially, you know, I know a lot of you right now because of what we're talking about, Saturn and Sagittarius. Sagittarius rules vision, long-term visions, and so it may have been really hard for you the past 2 to 3 years to feel like the things that you wanted and you envisioned were no longer working. However, like I said earlier, it's gonna it's gonna ease up right before Christmas. So Christmas is a great time. A lot of people wish, right? So you can take that time to really fortify your vision for, especially for the next year. And this year was a 1 year. So this year is all about you and what it is that you want and what you envision for your own personal self. And then next year you can partner with other people, to start building that thing. And so you want to make sure you keep that long-term vision. And once you achieve that goal, create another one and then create another one. And there's nothing wrong with creating multiple visions for yourself because you are a multifaceted being, and that's totally okay. And then number 1, now we're going backwards. Yes, we're here back, is do not, oh my Lord, do not rob Peter to pay Paul. You don't got to do that. It's heinous. You know how bad Peter feels? Like, because you're constantly taking from Peter. Oh my Lord. And that energy of constantly taking, right, doesn't show to the universe that you are willing to receive, and alternatively that you're not willing to give. And I think for a lot of empaths, healers, for different people who are introverted, people who have heard their whole life, like, don't be a taker. Like, taking and receiving are 2 very different things. And so that's what she was speaking about in particular, about being sure that you don't take from something, because taking blocks receiving. And so you need to be able to first get current on like one bill. It's okay if you double up on another bill, pay 2/3 of that bill, and then do math, right? Like, you make a pie, make a smaller pie. We don't have to do a life chart pie. You can just do a 3 pie. Be like, okay, 40, 40, 60. I'm going to pay the 60 and I'll pay the other 2 40s later. Or I'm going to pay the 80 and then I'm going to pay the 60 later, because then that's easier for me to do. There you go. That's all you have to do. Our Pie Life Master over here breaking it down in simple and easy terms. That Virgo, that digestible everything, we got to bring it into like actual tangible pieces, breaking down everything step by step. And so, if everything or anything, or even if just one thing really resonated with you, especially from listening to Miss Tucker speak, like our lovely Millennial Soul Scribe, and in particular, if you're a woman who is in the ages of 30 to 55, definitely check in with Omaria. And Omaria, I would love for you to take the time right now to explain a little bit about how people can get a hold of you, where they can see more of you. And if you could talk a little bit about your free gift. I know that you have a free offer for a lot of our viewers, both who are listening to you on your live stream, and also those who are listening and going to be watching now. Could you please take the time? The stage is yours.
Yes, ma'am. And just thank you again. I truly love you, Cynthia. I mean, your middle name is Maria. My name is Omaria. So it's like a no-brainer, right? Mm-hmm. But thank you so much for taking up yourself on the divine ideal to bring 22 people together to discuss their idea of the wealthy mindset and going from poverty consciousness to a wealthy mindset. This is totally brilliant. You did it at the right time. My whole thing, my tagline is the magic of intention. When you put something out there, it's gonna come to you. You just gotta put it out there. So divine timing with the Lionsgate energy of 8-8 and Leo. Okay, I see you.
Mm-hmm. I told you, I was like, I'm gonna start when Mercury goes into Virgo, and then Mercury halfway through.
Come on.
Yeah.
So that's what it's all about to me. But thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it. And I do have a free gift for the viewers for listening to me and hearing what I have to say. I talk a lot about positive thinking and talking to yourself and getting to know yourself. And one way that I do that is through affirmations. So what my offer is a free affirmation list to get you to your pie life. Of course, I've used some astrological influence in there to really tap into your soul, because I am the soul scribe. When I'm talking to people, I'm not talking to the person sitting in front of me. I'm talking to that person within you that you don't even know who you are, right? So I have those 10 affirmations for you to use and take advantage of, so you can start talking to the she and the he within in order to start planning and creating that life that you desire. Sometimes you got to tap into the subconscious mind in order to connect the conscious mind to make a super conscious mind, okay? So you can get those free affirmations at bit.ly/affirm your life. That's bit.ly/affirm your life.
Yeah, and if you're well, sorry about that. I was just going to say also, if this sounds like a lot to remember, it's all on her featured page on.
Oh yeah, it's all on the website, and I'm going to be sharing that website for the people that are looking at me on my live stream. Thank you for sticking. Thank you for sticking by, because she has some bomb people that she's already spoken to, and I know that, man, I'm just number 3 or number 4, so I can't wait to even see the other 18 people that's going to come on and share their jewels with it, because we all have different stories, and you never know which story you're going to be able to tap into that'll spark that fire in your life to move you forward. So I'll be sharing it on my page for you guys to see it. So I have the bit.ly/affirm your life offer, right? Mm-hmm. If you want to contact me, you can follow me at the Soul Scribe on Facebook. I have a Facebook group called Sacred Sounds of the Divine Mystic, because I love my mantras and I love my prayers and I like praying for people. That's one of the ways that I give back. So you can join that group. It's free to join. I do ask you to answer a few questions, because I got to know how serious you are, because it's not a joke to me. But you can join that group. Also, I said you can follow me on Facebook at the Soul Scribe. My website is www.omariatucker.info. That's omariatucker.info for people that don't know how to spell Omaria. And also, I have this huge surprise that I've been holding in all week. I do coaching, right? I coach people and I help people on an individual basis. They hire me to do that for them. Some people, when we're looking at wealthy mindset, they don't think that they can afford my rates right now, right? Because, I mean, that's just a mindset thing anyway, but regardless. But because of that, and because I like to help people, I have a special offer. I now have a phone number that you can call me like you're talking to Miss Cleo, but I'm not Miss Cleo. I'm an astrologist and a numerologist. But you can call me for just $1.99 a minute. Talk to me for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It doesn't matter. But the ideal and the practice behind this is that some people, all they need is somebody they can say, hey, Omaria, can I run this by you for a minute? And you tell me what you think about it. Or they can call and say, okay, Omaria, I know that right now the sun is about to go into the sign of Virgo, and I have Virgo in my first house. How can I use this energy to help me in this moment? And I'll look at it and say, okay, 5 minutes, let's go. And I'm gonna tell you how you can use that Virgo energy to assist you in your life. So this is a way that you can talk to me and ask me any question that you want. We can stay on the phone an hour to 2 minutes. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. But I am so happy to introduce this. Tonight is my second night introducing it to people. So, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
It's for a limited time. I'm going to move my screen over, and I will now officially share, because I announced it on my podcast last night. I said I'm not going to announce it publicly until I get on with Cynthia, but I am going to now share it with you. The phone number is 818-210-4841. That's 818-210-4841. Right now, it's $1.99 a minute. And then maybe in about 3 weeks or so, I think it goes up to $3.99 a minute. And what you want to do is, because I can't do this for 24/7 because I have a family. I have children. Some of y'all saw my little girl come in here. You want to follow me on Facebook. So when I say, okay, from the hours of 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. I'm open, call me, you'll get that message and you can call me. So that is another way that I can give back, and everybody still can practice the art of reciprocity and receiving and giving back in this thing that we call wealth manifestation magic. So thank you, Cynthia. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you. I love you. Don't inbox me anymore. Call the number. I'm just playing. You still can inbox me.
Like, don't be blowing up my phone without paying
I'll
me.
see you later. Thank you for joining. Say what now?
That's amazing. Oh my God. Thank you so much. And I want to record the number one more time for our viewers so I can post this in the YouTube. Can you?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Do you have it available? Do you remember the number? I can just write it down. It's 818. What is it? I forget.
It is 818-210-4841.
818-210.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to 210-4841.
Okay. Awesome.
And what I'm going to do is, I didn't want to send it to you beforehand because I didn't want to spoil the surprise to have it on the website. But I'll send you the picture on the website and you can have it on there too.
Awesome. I'm excited because that's going to be super great. Yeah, because maybe our listeners can't afford, right? We said that right now it's difficult for them to pay for, coaching, especially if they're they gotta come up on their financial obligations, right? But I really encourage people to take advantage of lower priced coaching and things that are on a discount, because that's how I have been able to just even up level and find things for myself. Sometimes you have to invest in yourself and build your self-esteem and really have other people reinforce to you how great you are. So you can be like, oh yes, you're right, I am great, let me go do something. And you need that coaching. And so, you can definitely check out her webpage below in the description box. I will link it there, as well as all her other contact information. And, again, thank you so much, Omaria. I super, super, super appreciate you being with me. I know this interview series is the longest one we've done so far because we decided to break it up and do not only just your story, but also take us into astrological, news and how we could actually incorporate this energy. And then you brought it all the way back to Earth for us. And so I just am so honored, and I really appreciate you being with us today and this evening, actually, because now it's kind of late. But I'm so grateful. And for everybody who is listening, thank you so much for tuning in. This is the Get Free and Become Wealthy: Why Changing Your Mindset is Crucial to Accessing Abundance in Your Life. My name is Cynthia Maria of Cosmic Memoranda. We are meeting today with Omaria Tucker of the Millennial Soul Scribe. And we wish you both, we both wish you, everybody who's listening, the very best, and for you guys to access, your infinite potential, because we really wish it for you, and the fact that you're listening means that it's going to be coming to you. So we're getting ready for your greatness, and I hope you are ready for your greatness too. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, and bye-bye.
Bye.